Every Friday night, like clockwork, the exact same order comes in. One large pepperoni pizza, boxed up and sent out the door. This grid chart maps out the sheer scale of that repetition. A 10-year span contains roughly 520 individual data points, representing 520 consecutive weeks of exact, unwavering routine. The modern gig economy is built to make the people maintaining those routines invisible. Apps optimize for speed and frictionless exchange, turning the human beings behind the wheel into quiet conduits for a purely transactional relationship. Then, a Friday night came and went, and the ticket never printed. The sudden absence created a strange, quiet vacuum in the middle of the evening rush. The driver noticed the missing order, but brushed it off. It is easy to assume the customer was just busy, out of town, or trying something new for dinner. In a system optimized entirely for moving goods from point A to point B, the quiet end of a 10-year habit is designed to register as absolutely nothing at all. A second Friday passed with no order. Then, a third week of absolute silence. This line graph tracks weekly certainty. When delivery data suddenly drops to absolute zero, a scheduling glitch escalates into a statistical anomaly. Service work establishes a firm barrier. You do not pry. Yet acting on this flatline crosses the empathy threshold, breaking that social role. We are heavily conditioned by the bystander effect to mind our own business during commercial transactions. The economic structure tells us to look the other way. The driver chose to clock out. He handed over his work keys, got into his personal car, and drove out to the neighborhood entirely on his own time. Walking up the driveway, his mind cycled through the darkest possibilities. An older man living alone, 3 weeks of silence, pointing toward a medical emergency. Reaching the porch, he knocked heavily on the wood. It was the point of no return. Crossing that threshold meant violating the strict rules of the transactional economy, risking his comfort for a stranger's well-being. The door swung open. Instead of an emergency, the customer stood there perfectly healthy, with a massive grin on his face. The missing orders were not the result of a tragedy. The man had recently won the lottery and had spent the last 3 weeks out of town on an extended celebration vacation. As they stood on the porch, a heavy realization hit the new millionaire. Out of everyone in his entire personal network, the only person who noticed his absence enough to check on him was the guy who delivered his Friday dinner. Overwhelmed by the gesture, the customer reached into his newly acquired funds and handed the driver $10,000 in cash as a direct thank you. An off-the-clock, entirely unprompted act of human concern resulted in the single highest tip of the driver's career. Sudden lottery fortunes are rare statistical outliers. The actual weight of the story lies in how mundane, repetitive daily routines often assemble themselves into our most vital safety nets. The interaction between this driver and his customer serves as a framework for a universal test of human connection. 10 years of routine pizza deliveries provided the foundation, but it took a singular moment of courage to step outside the transaction and permanently change the course of a life. If a quiet 10-year pattern abruptly stopped in your periphery, would you have had the courage to cross that social boundary and knock on a stranger's door? Weigh your own personal empathy threshold and let us know by commenting yes or no down below.